I found something easy I could do that led to fortune, and I did not neglect to do it. Major reason for not having everything you want in America. Major reason for not having more of what you want in America. More health, more money, more power, more influence, more everything. Major reason why you don't get it. Simple answer: neglect. Neglect. And here's the problem with neglect. It starts as an infection. And if you don't take care of it, it becomes a disease. And here's what else is the problem. One neglect leads to another. Neglect to do wise things with your money, you'll probably neglect to do wise things with your time. Neglect to do wise things with your time, you'll probably neglect to do wise things with your business. One leads to another, leads to another. Pretty soon, neglect has you by the throat, emptying your purse, emptying your heart, emptying all of your chances for equities and power and all the good things. Neglect. I blame my negative relatives. They were always putting me down. I blame my cynical neighbors. They're just selfish, looking out for themselves. Won't loan you money? They were on my list. I used to blame the economy. I blame the community. That's a pretty good list for not doing well, isn't it? I thought it was good. I'll never forget one day. Mr. Schoaf is very kind, but he was also very blunt. And this was no exception. And I'm glad he was blunt. There's a lot of things I'd have missed if he hadn't have been blunt. One day, with sort of a curious look on his face, he said, "Jim, just out of curiosity, tell me, how come you haven't done well up until now?"
Translate our questions, translate our answers, our perceptions, what we see, to be able to say it. And I'm telling you, if you have a limited way of translating and expressing what's going on in your heart and what's going on in your head, you'll fall way behind. So you'd have twin problems without a good vocabulary. Number one, you wouldn't be able to see. Number two, you wouldn't be able to express. And your world would keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller, not having the vision, not having the tools. Finally, you wouldn't need a place much bigger than 10 by 12 to live. Why? That's about as big as some people's world is. That's all they've got, this little narrow world, making mistakes every day. Why? They can't see. Getting it wrong every day. They can't comprehend. They can't understand. No tools with which to translate. For good communication, number one is having something good to say. Number two is saying it well. And number three is reading your audience. You've got to read what's going on between you and the people you're talking to. Should you say what you're saying a little softer? Should you say it a little stronger? Should you explain it more? Should you be more clear and concise? Should you quit? A lot of the decision-making that's going on during a conversation with someone depends on how well you can read, how well you can tell what's going on in the minds of those you're trying to reach.
Sometimes those little reasons are the most powerful reasons that can change your life. Sometimes it doesn't take much. I now carry several $100s in my money clip. It's only a few $100s, but it was one of those reasons that turned my life around. Just before I met Mr. Schoaf, I heard a knock at the door. I go to the door, and there's a little girl standing there about this tall selling Girl Scout cookies. And she gave me one of the finest sales presentations I've ever heard. Special deal, several flavors, this whole package of stuff, $2. And with a big smile, she very politely asked me to buy. And I wanted to. Big problem. I'm broke. I don't have $2. And to this day, I can remember the pain and the embarrassment. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I've been to college. I'm working. I'm 25. I don't have $2. And I didn't want to tell her that for some reason. So I did what I thought was next best. I lied to her.
I said, hey, look, I've already bought lots of Girl Scout cookies. I've still got plenty stacked in the house, which was not true. But it seemed to get me off the hook for the moment. She said, well, gosh, that's wonderful. Thank you very much. And she went away. When she left, I closed the door, and that was the day I said to myself, I don't want to live like this anymore. I've had it with lying, and I've had it with being broke. I'm never going to let this happen to me ever again. I promised that day I would work as hard as possible and would always carry plenty. It took me a little while, but now I do. It was one of those reasons. And I guess I carry plenty for two reasons. One is the way it makes me feel, but also in case I bump into another Girl Scout selling cookies. Right? I'm ready. I walked out of the Bank of America one time up in Saratoga, California, where I used to live. Two little girls selling candy right outside the bank. Good place. Some girls' organization they're working for, right? I come walking out of the bank. This first little girl walks up to me. She said, Mister, would you like to buy some candy? I said, I probably would. What kind is it? She said, it's almond roca. I said, my gosh, that's my favorite. She said, wonderful. I said, how much is it? She said, it's just $2. I thought, incredible. I said, how many boxes of that candy have you got? She said, 5. And her little friend was standing there. She was selling candy too. I said, how many boxes have you got? She said, I've got 4. I said, that's 9. I'll take them all. They said, really? I said, yeah, it's my favorite. I've got some friends. I'll pass them around. They got so excited, put all this candy together. I reached in my pocket, gave them the $18. When I've got the candy and they've got the money, that first little girl looks up at me. She says, Mister, you are really something. Probably one of the most frustrating experiences in life is looking for an above-average job with above-average pay without becoming an above-average person. It's called frustration. And Mr. Schoaf gave me probably the greatest clue he gave me when I first met him. He said, Jim, if you want to be wealthy and happy the rest of your life, just learn this lesson well. He said, learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. For things to change for you, you've got to change.
It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it.
Everybody has time. Stop watching f***ing Lost. If you want this, if you want bling bling, if you want to buy the jets, if you want to do work.
Ultimately, you will get to the top of the mountain.
In order to build a business, in order to be the best parent, the best spouse, to do all those things that you know you want to do with your life, with your work, with your dreams, you're going to have to do things that are difficult, uncertain, or scary.
See, Nelson Mandela did it. He just did it not knowing if it were right. Mahatma Gandhi just did it, not knowing if it were right. Mother Teresa just did it, not looking for affirmation or confirmation. Is this right?
A lot of people ain't honest with themselves about what they really want.
You want to make more money than you've ever made. You want to travel the world. I don't know. You want to build your second home. I'm not sure what you want, but I need you to understand that you got to give some. You can't stay where you are and go where you're trying to go.
Don't allow anybody else's opinions. Don't allow what it says on the internet. Don't allow the research. Don't allow what anybody out there tells you is possible or not possible for you.
Self-made millionaires have been studied exhaustively. They've been analyzed. They've been interviewed by the hundreds of thousands and millions. And what we know is exactly who they are and what they do and how they think. And the wonderful thing is this, if you do what other successful people do, you eventually get the same result that they do.
to realize that you can make whatever change you want to make in your life. As Napoleon Hill said, first comes thought. The beginning, as you will observe, is in the imagination. And that's the key to getting started, is you have to understand that you already have everything that you want, but you've got to think about what it is you're trying to create in your life first.
And get moving. If it's just to get up and read and get your mind right for the day. So you got to get up early, show up early, get there, get after it, attack the day, make things happen. Most people wait for things to happen. Winners make things happen.
It's hard to keep the spirit up. Hard. It's hard. Where you need to refuel and replenish yourself mentally and emotionally and spiritually, and you got to battle in your home base. It's hard. I can tell you from my experience, it's work.
But once I stopped asking that question and I started thinking about really who I could become and really harnessing the human ability to adapt, what people need to understand, humans have become the apex predator, not by being the strongest, not even by being the most intelligent.
Nonetheless. And in every, all the good stories, you end up finding this. And the one that I've been...
Genie is the root word for genius. So,
right.
and it's a really interesting idea because the genie is something that's, as Robert Williams said, unlimited power, tiny little living space. Right, and
yeah.
But it's a really interesting idea because there's this unlimited power that's associated with genius, but it's constrained, and that's really what the human spirit is like, because it has this aspect of the infinite, right? And it is something that can grant wishes, but it's also constrained terribly. It's constrained mortally and physically and all that. But the thing is that both the infinite possibility and the constraint are necessary. That's what makes up the genie. It has to be both at the same time.